It's still a land. Someone who always can. Don't you know? Burrito!
Yo, what is going on? It's your boy Flobo. This is Wasup, Flobo After Hours. This is the show we just chill like we always do in the classic What's Up, Flobo. We sit, we chill, we talk about what's going on in life, what's going on in the world. But instead of me finding something cool or a nugget of wisdom, I give my take of what's going on the world outside. If you guys are joining me over on Twitch, welcome. If you're watching me on YouTube, welcome. It's all good. I'm powered by StreamYard. I'm streaming at 3 different places at once. And if you guys are listening to the podcast version of this, that's really cool too. I appreciate that for checking that out because we do this every Monday night. And if you're not in the vibe of watching my face, which I can understand. If that's not your deal, that's not your whole deal, you can always check out the podcast version over on Spotify, on Spreaker, at Anchor FM, at Google Podcasts, all of that stuff. It has been a week, huh? It's been a week. It's been a week. Personally, I'm doing okay. You know, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic of what the light of the end of the tunnel as far as like what's going to be the new normal, which is a phrase that gets overused. There should be a list of things that are overused following this pandemic, whether it's these unprecedented times, these wild times, we're in it together, the new normal, things like Zoomers, just things, phrases that we've overused during this time in quarantine. And of course, I want to talk to you about a bunch of things happening. If you guys haven't been onto the What's Up Flobo After Hours train, it's a little bit more, I don't want to say edgy because that sounds like I'm doing it on purpose, but I do give my opinions on things, and that's something I tend to avoid on every other platform that I'm on. I mean, I give wrestling opinions, so just let you know that if I'm talking about a topic or issue that's a bit sensitive, I apologize in advance. Because whatever, but if you guys know me, I don't go too deep. I'm not like saying, and they lying to you, man. They call it a foot long, but it's really 11 inches. No, I'm not really doing that. I'm just saying that it's gonna be a bit chill about that. But before I get it out the way, flopito.com is a website. Flopito.com is a website. You learn all about my projects over there, the Patreon, the DJ job, my comic books, my novellas. All that stuff is there. I don't mean to brag about it, but I figure I do. If you guys are just entering the Flobito-verse through this show. But I don't know what's going on, man. It seemed like last week I was talking about wrestling, and the next thing you know, the whole world has just been off the rails. Even more off the rails than it usually was. I don't know about you guys, wherever you're listening from. I'm pro masks. I wear masks wherever I go. It's a little bit difficult for me because I have a beard, and it's common knowledge that if you have a beard, that a mask does not give you a full seal across your face. So I use what's known as a neck gaiter, or Gaitor, that's Gaiter, not like an alligator, that's very weird, or a snood, right? You know, you put the thing over the neck and then you cover up the bottom half of your face. It's not that hard, man. I don't understand the battle of it all. And it's one thing where it's like, hey man, you know, individual liberties, you could do what you want to do, that's great. But two things are different. Like, no one's coming after like your house or property, and this is you helping out other citizens, right? Because you can't be a citizen of a country when everyone's dead. But what I think is pretty interesting is that a lot of people tag me on things now. Maybe because I have fans, maybe because people think that I would share their conspiracy theories, you know, about like, oh man, you know, I'm trying to control you, man. I'm an anti-masker. I'm a free thinker. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, hey, independent thought is amazing. I think all of us have ideas. All of us on some level have ideas that are outside the fringe. That's okay. But Lord, it's just a piece of fabric, bro. Just do it. And I've never seen so many people come out the woodwork and be like, "Hi, I'm anti-mask." You know, this is my freedom is being encroached upon, and I sit there and wonder, I mean, there was a time back in April and March where like, hey man, just wash your hands, right? So I wonder how many people were like anti washing their hands and didn't want to say anything. But now there is safety in numbers, and I'm getting tagged in all these things. I wear them. It's fine. I got like two black ones, a brown one. A couple of friends actually make them. If you're a friend of mine, sorry, I don't really know your websites off the top of your head, but I do that. Just you can find someone who makes them, and if you can't afford the ones that they have in the store, I mean, there are protocols you can do to make a piece of cloth to go over your face. Do it. Just do it. Do I like doing it? Do you think I go outside and I'm like, man, I remember the good old days when my bottom half of the face was free, But it's great, crazy times called crazy measures, and that's my top rant. That wasn't even part of the show today. I just want to say that I just don't understand why I'm getting tagged in these messages. Like I'm supposed to read this meme that you have from a JPEG that's been shared so many times it's all blocky. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the truth. I'm gonna share it to Instagram because thank you for this. Whatever. I don't know if you guys saw this. This kind of came across my Twitter thing today about Trader Joe's. If you're familiar with this, Trader Joe's is a store I frequent quite often. There was a little bit of a protest or a petition going out there saying that a lot of the store, the sub brands, a lot of the names for their products in ethnic cuisine were inherently racist. What I mean by that is that sometimes, if those have never been to Trader Joe's, it's like a grocery store essentially, but it has like this Polynesian Trader Post theme, and most of the American foods are branded as Trader Joe's. The store brand, the house brand is Trader Joe's, right? But like their Asian food is called like Trader Ming's, or like their Italian food is called Trader Giorno's for that. And there was a petition going around saying that maybe this may be a racist connotation. The rationale goes, this actually comes from the San Francisco Gate website, sfgate.com, and this is a quote here. It says, the petition demands Trader Joe's that changes racist, that's in quotes, food packaging. Current packaging, says petition, belies a narrative of exotism and exoticizes other cultures. It presents Joe as a default normal. The company says it will try to comply. So Trader Joe's actually came out this week and said, hey, look, yeah, we understand. And we're going to start changing the names of the packaging. And that's something I never really thought about. And then this is why I really wanted to bring it up. Because we are so into many different people able to mobilize others for petitions and stuff. And we could probably get into cancel culture too in a little bit. So my first knee-jerk reaction, if I'm being completely honest with you, is saying, wait, Trader Ming's is racist? I didn't know. Trader Ming's makes the best orange chicken this side of the grocery store. I like Trader Ming's, or I like Trader Giorno's, or pick up a 6-pack of Trader Jose's. I didn't think about it. But then the more I did, the more I realized it's like, yeah, if it's plain and vanilla and not part of any kind of cuisine, it's just Joe. But somehow the name does morph into things. And technically, if you guys want to know my ethnic breakdown, I am an American male of Barbadian and Scottish descent, but for all intents and purposes, I get grouped in or looped into what's considered African American in this country. If someone had something like that, if there was like a Trader Leon's, Trader Pokies, you know what I'm saying? Trader Kwan's, I would be more than offended. I don't even buy rap snacks. I think that was made by minorities. I would totally say, hey, why are they trying to like big this up? And I guess the point I learned about that, and I did not sign a petition. I don't really care either way about it. I mean, if it changes, it should change, is what I'm saying. But like, I'm not trying to advocate you guys go and sign this petition, but it did give me a moment of pause of like, what is considered offensive and what isn't? Not to say this is or is not offensive, but I just said my knee-jerk reaction is saying, oh, come on, it's fun. But yeah, I never really thought about it if someone, were of a group. If I was Chinese and I saw Trader Ming's, and even though there is no Trader Joe, as far as like there is no trading outpost, how would I feel about a Trader Ming? It is interesting, and it's really, I'm glad it came across this week on social media, because it automatically made me check myself, made me check my own expectations and aspirations of what brands can do. And we're seeing a change up and across the board when it comes to a lot of things that are ethnically named. Last week we talked about the Washington Redskins, or the new team name has not been announced yet. But another debate during this quarantine, during the re-examination of our ethnic mascots, was Aunt Jemima. I remember this one too. I got into a little bit of a discussion with a friend on Facebook about this. If you guys don't know, Aunt Jemima, the brand of pancake syrups and batters that was equal to good home eating, was been announced that the brand will be retired. And there was a little bit of an uproar. There's some people saying, "Hey, look, man, why would you get rid of Aunt Jemima? She was on the show for decades. She wasn't bothering anybody." And for me, I was on the other side of that. See, when it comes to Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, and please, I'm not trying to be, but like Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima come from a time where Black Americans in this country were not considered equal footing to white people. So they were not considered Mr. and Mrs. They would use honorifics like uncle or auntie or dad. Then they were never given the Mr. and Mrs. So whereas Uncle Ben tried to be evolved into like everyone's uncle, like Aunt Jemima was just kind of by itself. And so my friends, full disclosure, she was also a minority, but she was not black. Said, "Hey, look, why? What's the big deal? It's pancake. It was modeled after this individual. The name escapes me now. Why? What's the big deal?" And I was like, "Well, if you're asking me personally, and as a member of this race, right? It hit different where I grew up. And I grew up in Brooklyn in the '90s, and when you're picking up a bottle of Aunt Jemima, you're not thinking about the actress that was the model for the design, right? And when it comes down to it, it does have this connotation of, hey, look, a company decided to equate down home southern cooking with this model and with this vision of what an Aunt Jemima is. And growing up, we used to crack on women all the time. Other girls who were homely looking or into their books or were plain got called Aunt Jemima. Not saying I did it, because I got my own clowning because I was a heavy set kid with bad acne. But we would say, "Oh, you Aunt Jemima looking girl." Like it was like almost like an epithet. So I definitely saw that side. But to say that I'm not above reproach, when the Trader Joe's story came, at first I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's the big deal?" So you don't know what a big deal is for anyone else. And last week, one of the people in the chat had asked about cancel culture. This thing that we do when something violates or our collective sense of what's considered tasteful. Is it okay that we can cancel things? And you know what, I don't like the word culture being tacked on to everything. I get it, especially as the entertainer. You can make one mistake, it seems, and if it's the wrong note, your career could be evaporated. But I'll hesitate from saying, "Oh, everyone's too cancel happy." It's easy to mobilize. If you have a grievance, it's easier now than ever to find people who share your point of view, and to say, "Hey, look, break it down," than it was before. So I think some institutions and some people need to be canceled. Can't tell you who specifically. So it's a tool. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, but it does feel, and I think the perception is across the board, no matter where you lie on the spectrum, that people is getting too heavy with that. you know. Moving on, man. Just keep a little things a little lighthearted, because I feel like I totally went off the rails into being all like semi-serious. But I don't know if you guys watch soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. Kind of fell back into it. I was a big fan in 2006. I was studying abroad in a foreign country, Costa Rica, when they were in the first day of the World Cup '06 against Germany. I became a fan ever since. I would say the years of '06 through 14, I was a fanatic. I had season tickets to the Galaxy. I was buying non-branded jerseys because if you guys listen to the first episode of What's Up Flobo After Hours, you'll know I don't like multi-level marketing companies. But I kind of fell off. It kind of slipped back into the casual. Like baseball is everlasting. Like that's going to be there. But like as far as like the hot sport I'm into, like I'm into F1 super hardcore now over the past week. But like I got a feeling that will come down. But I'm not really into soccer that much. But Tim Howard was one of the, if not the greatest American goals we had in modern history. Really had a good showing in the 2010 World Cup. And if you guys don't know about Tim Howard, I suggest you look it up. He is a legend in his own right. It's neither here nor there, but he had an awesome career while suffering or living with Tourette syndrome, and definitely an inspiration, at least for me, that you can keep playing up until a certain level of age. Well, the reason why I'm bringing it up is that his team. You see, in soccer, when you do not hit a certain level of production, you have a choice. You can either retire, which is what most people do. And soccer is ruthless when it comes to that. Like guys like who are 25 years old retire and like, well, I guess I'm done. Or you can do what a lot of older players do and go to a lower division where you can still play and perhaps become a coach or a player coach, that kind of thing. So if you know Wayne Rooney from English soccer, he played all over the world, but he was in the United States at DC United, but now he's back at his home club, Derby County, where he's a player manager. So Tim Howard, American goalie hero, is playing a team in Memphis. He's playing in Memphis. And this time last week, I think last Tuesday, was in a game where his team gave up 7 goals in a game. And so the whole world was just blowing up. Like, man, here's this guy who went to the World Cup. Here's a guy who blocked 45 billion shots against a very, very strong Belgian side, fought for the country, not literally like a soldier, but like a player. And now he's in Memphis FC, which is like the second or third tier division, and you're giving up 7 goals. And I'm not getting into tactics because you can blame the bad defense before he even gets the goalie. But the real talk around it was, man, how far has our legends or our heroes have fallen? And I gotta say, man, my opinion on that one is I feel like everyone has a right to play as much as they can. If you can get up and still run the miles, then why not? You're not bothering anybody. It sucks if you fail and it shows up and everyone's going like, oh my gosh, how lame is that? Like, for example, with this pandemic here, as a Southern California event DJ, a wedding DJ, I haven't been able to perform as much. That's just the way it is. And any DJ who works weekly would tell you, it's kind of like being an athlete. You set up, the first couple gigs are solid. Those February weddings, those March weddings, they're good because you've been practicing all winter. All right, you've been practicing every day for 8 hours a day every winter. But those first couple of gigs, like getting up early, making sure you have your notes, bringing your gear to an event, setting it up with the strength, slipping into your suit, getting in the rhythm of being an MC for the day, you really can't practice that. You can't practice being on point with your tie knot game and your announcing of last name game and then breakdown and then hydrating for the next day you can do it again. So there's always like a preseason form. Like there's always a preseason form and people always ask like, why do wedding DJs, it tends to split. Either it's a young man's game and they get out when things get kind of like slowed up, like they get like married or they hit their 30s and try to get out, or they become old but big enough where they can afford assistants to help them out and help them build stuff. People say, hey man, why don't you get out of that, man? Like why you do this every week? Why do you get up and have to wear the suit? Why do you do that? And you say, I love the game, I love performing, I love the cash in some cases, I love meeting the clients. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. So if you're Tim Howard, man, and you can still physically be good enough to be on the team, and you're like in the 3rd division, and you're not even hurting anybody, then go for it. No one cares. Yeah, it's good meme fodder, but look, you're still a legend, man. You took the United States team to the World Cup. We couldn't even qualify the last World Cup. How weird was that, having a country of 335 million people? We can't find 11 dudes? We can't find 11 dudes to go to the World Cup. We can find 11 women to go to the World Cup. The women's team is phenomenal. They're like 3-time champions, you know? But we can't find 11 dudes and 300 million people. India can't find 11 dudes in a billion. China can't find 1,000,000 dudes in a billion. But the thing is, at least China and India, I mean, those are technically developing nations, right? They have that excuse. It's not an excuse, because if you've been to India, you'll know that the infrastructure is way better than the world gives them credit for. Their facilities are way better than what the world gives them credit for. If you've been to China, their commerce and youth development is way better than what the world gives them credit for. But the United States, we have like top tier of everything. We have the awareness, we have our own home league, we sign European players, we have youth leagues, and yet we can't find 11 dudes to qualify. How weird is that? How weird is that? So, what I'm saying is, when it comes down to any person who puts the work in, over amount of time, over longevity, you have that pass to really make the occasional misstep. You have that pass to downshift a bit. In music, I look at like Jay-Z. Jay-Z, the rappers from my hometown. And when it comes to rappers, he started pretty late. I think he started like in his mid-20s, which is, I mean, it's late for it because rapping was always a young man's game. But he had a level so high, and even though he retired with Kingdom Come, when he came out with Magna Carta Holy Grail, it was a dope album. But it wasn't like, oh, it wasn't like the 5 mic album. But yo, he's been in the game for so long, you give him a pass. U2 gets a pass all the time. Garth Brooks, another guy, he can do silence on a record and it will go platinum because he's Garth Brooks. Why not? Why do we try to ride our athletes, man? You know, it's weird how in this country we push young boys and young girls to be athletic, pick up a sport. What's your sport? And they train and they try to be scholars and they're athletics, and then we push them because they want $1 million deals to help them out their situation or their families. But then we say, you know what? Our athletes aren't really our heroes. We are just propping them up too much. But then athletes are still supposed to be the model people anyway. Hey, what do you think, LeBron? Shut up, LeBron. It's like, which one is it? You know? And I just feel like if you do it long enough and you can deal with the media, you can deal with changing forms, you can deal with all that stuff on top of being yourself, then you've earned a pass to play for Memphis FC on a Tuesday night game in the second or third tier in soccer. And if someone scores 7 goals on you, it's all good, man. It's all good. So props to Tim Howard, dude. Follow him on social media. He's a good dude. What's not good? I'm not a political person. I never claimed to be. I do register to vote. Here's a fun Flobo story. I didn't see the point of voting. I never did. I thought that voting was dumb. Derek Fisher's in the chat. What's up, Derek Fisher? All right, if you guys have not checked out Derek Fisher, you gotta follow that dude on Twitter, on Instagram. Drop your social media handles there. I'll put it there for you guys. And if you're listening on the audio version, I'll put Derek Fisher's handle in there. So I'm not a political person. I never voted on any major election. Like I said on my first episode of What's Up Flobo After Hours, the first time I ever voted in a public election was for me when I ran for city neighborhood council here in Los Angeles. And so I don't have a huge political opinion about the current president of the United States, but I do think, politics aside, there are some unforced errors that homeboy has done, and I'm talking about specifically this week the explicit endorsement of Goya food products from the President of the United States of America. Wow, didn't know you can do that. I didn't know you could. Look, I'm not here to talk about rights. I'm not here to talk about political things. I'm not here to talk about processes and policy and foreign policy. But we talk about the sacred office of the United States of America. And there was a photograph where the president was actually sitting with an array of Goya products. Thumbs up, smiling, just being like, yo, man, you got to try this Goya, dog. I'm just like, what is next? Like, I remember this, and I hate comparing the current president to the last one because he just does that a lot, you know? Oh, there it is, Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher says he is Derek Fish 789 is my Twitter. Insta is Derek Fisher 789. You know what I'm saying? Follow him on Twitter and on Instagram. Derek Fisher, the man, coming through all the time, supporting the homie. But like, I don't want to compare this president to the last one because the current president does. But I remember distinctly when a clothing brand took a photo of the former president and put it in a giant billboard in Times Square. And it was instantly shut down because the office of the President of the United States said you can't explicitly support or endorse a private brand because the president is a vessel for the everyday person, right? So imagine my dismay when I see this current president just smiling with a bunch of, first of all, I'm from New York and I would tell you Goya is dope. but I am Team Vitoros. Now, if you want to get some real Mexican, sorry about that. If you want some real South American products, check out Vitoros. I mean, their Malta's dope. I love their beans. Like seriously, Vitoros is like way better than Goya. But Goya, which is usually attributed to Mexican cuisine, even though it's not actually true, being endorsed by the current president really put me as like, what's next, man? Like, if I ran for president, does that mean everything is pretty much up for grabs? If I run for president, am I going to say the Oval Office presented by Verizon is now time for the Nike State of the Union report? We might as well, man. We might as well do it. I just want to say welcome to Camp David, presented by Dyson Vacuum Cleaners. It is I, the President of the United States, a division of AT&T, Flobito Reyes III. I'm like, for real, for real? I just don't know, man. That to me is crazy. Derek Fisher is also in the chat. I mean, we just gave him a shout out. So he got my birthday shirt in the mail. Getting off topic here, talking about endorsements. Please endorse your homie by buying a t-shirt at flobito.threadless.com. But you know what? I am not the president of the United States. I can chill up and down, left and right. It's all good because I'm Flobito. I'm just an average citizen. I'm an American citizen. I'm not any better than anyone else. And if you have a certain way of feeling about the economy or about world policy, about civil rights, human rights, the economy, that is on you. If you guys care, I can sit here and talk to you about what I feel about that. I don't think anyone does. But I do feel there's certain things you can't do. And saying, hey, any product in the Oval Office, thumbs up, like, hey, look at me, is just some next level of stuff. I didn't know what to say to that. Like, how do you support that, man? Like, cause that tells me then, right? If I'm sitting here, I'm like Kroger brand beans, and I see the Goya beans getting the play from the president. Does that not present unfair competition? Is that not, in a way, an obstruction of interstate commerce? Does anyone not care? Does anyone care? Does anyone care what's going? Okay, that's it. I'm done, man. I really am. Maybe because I'm a marketing person, and maybe because that's my background. I just feel like you just can't do that. Like that is like, pfft. Next time I go to England and I get to meet the Queen, I'm gonna wear like this giant starter jacket with like the Mercedes-Benz logo and see if I can get around with that and just do it. But yo, what up, Queenie? Just hang it next to her or whatever. But yeah, everything's kind of crazy now with the pandemic and things are changing all the time. Last story for me tonight, because I know you guys just love to hear me rant about stuff. Christopher Nolan, one of the most prolific filmmakers of all time, has a new movie coming out called Tenet. If you guys listened to the episode on the subject on New Amsterdam Radio, I just talked about how Tenet as a trailer was a good idea for creatives, how you can release a trailer for your product or service. But it turns out that with the current viewing habits of the theaters not being able to be opened up to the public, that Christopher Nolan has decided to push it back indefinitely. And yeah, if you guys don't know who Christopher Nolan is, man, he is the classic version of an auteur. I sigh. Charlene's in the chat. Hey, what's up, Charlene? I'm about to wrap this up, but we're hanging out here talking about movies, Charlene. Yeah. Christopher Nolan is one of the prolific filmmakers of all time. And he's an auteur, and what that means is he feels like the author's the film. Every aspect, every light choice, every film stock he weighs onto, and he's been one of the last holdouts. Christopher Nolan's the director, so Christopher Nolan did Insomnia, he did the Dark Knight series, the Batman Begins series, Interstellar, those things. So even though he has been a stalwart for film, he's totally rejected every aspect of the digital revolution. Like, he doesn't film on digital. It has to be film. He doesn't want to exhibit in digital. He wants to exhibit in film. And for a lot of cinephiles, that's great. I'm a film school graduate. I just mentioned that. And I went to film school at a time where it shifted, where it was like, we got film and we got digital. Who's going to win? And it seems now more than ever that digital is. It's just more cost effective. There's more things to do with it. You have a lot more options. Film has merit, but it's a bygone stance of a forgotten time. So, with the pandemic and with basically theaters closed, Christopher Nolan just said, I'm not even going to release this movie. I'm done with it until we get everything settled out with that. And I said, man, maybe he's on the wrong side of history. He's never been able to embrace digital offerings. The whole thing is just weird to me. It's like Trolls made the same amount of money, but I can tell you when it comes to Nolan, there's this feeling that if it's not on IMAX or it's not in this big theater, it doesn't really count. It doesn't really count. I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat hanging out here. Derek Fisher, Charlene. Yeah, if you guys want me to chat about something, you have a floor. Free topic, free ring. It's What's Up Flobo After Hours here. As a creative man, as someone that works on stuff, you will get left behind if you don't do technology. So Charlene says, as a comedian, can I convince you to do a Kill Tony show? The answer is no, and I'll tell you why. But thank you so much for the suggestion that I'm actually cool enough. I've actually have friends that have done Kill Tony. And killed Tony, and the show is amazing. A lot of my friends have done it, because even though it's kind of big, the LA comedy scene, there's like, I would say, I'm spitballing here. I think there's like 2,000 comics, off and on, like from like the paying comics all the way down to the I do it every once in there. It's about 2,000 of us. But the thing is about comedy in LA is that if I don't know you, I know someone that knows you. So it's a small thing. I like the show format, and I like the show. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. I've only seen Tony Hinchcliffe once. It was at a comedy club where he bombed, and I'm not making fun of him for bombing because comics who've never bombed before don't exist. It reminds me of when I tried to learn how to ride a motorcycle, and my buddy said, how are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous about falling. And he's like, I understand that, but when it comes to riding a bike, there's only two kinds of riders: those that have gone down and those that will, right? You will get thrown off your bike, and you will bomb as a comic. So I don't judge Tony for bombing when I saw him, but he ripped into the crowd for laughing. He goes, what's wrong with you? We're in Burbank. What's wrong with you, Burbank? This is funny stuff. This is great. I toured with Joe Rogan. So I've always had a kind of a weird relationship with him. But the Comedy Store is one of the most hallowed grounds in comedy. Like, that's where I did my first show. That's where Pauly Shore's mom, Mitzi Shore, really made it into the powerhouse. It's hallowed ground when it comes to comedians. And before the pandemic, every Monday, every Monday you have to go down to the Comedy Store and sign up for Kill Tony. And when I said there are a lot of comics in LA, I'm not kidding. There are a lot of comics. So imagine the patio of this comedy club. This is before social distancing. This is before the pandemic. And there's literally like 100 to 150 people on a patio the size of like a Chili's, like in two giant lines. One line is for what they call the potluck. That's like their open mic. You sign up, they put your name out of a hat, and they put your name on the wall, and you get to actually do an open mic at the Comedy Store. Because it's the most famous arena, a famous comedy club, you have regulars that go every week. You got like the people who fly into town, who want to do it for fun. There's the comics that fly to LA without a booking and try to make that their booking. There are comics that do it between bookings. And on the other side, there's people who want to be on Kill Tony. And it is a giant cluster. And so every week, as a comic, I have that battle where it's like, hey, Flobo, if you're a comic, you got to be on the shows. You got to do the hustle. You got to get there, be there, line up, sign up, and one day you'll get picked. And then the other side is like, okay, of all the hours of the day of you getting out from your house, driving across town, standing in line, signing up in a lane on a number, the odds are not in your favor. Have you really advanced as a comedian? I fight with that every time. And on top of that, when you're on Kill Tony, you only get a minute. Like, it's literally a minute to get your whole point across. So as almost like a logical thing, I say it's not worth the risk, worth the time and investment. Now, I'm not knocking anyone that does it. Like I said, I know people personally that have done it and the time of their lives. And sometimes I do feel as if I'm being the sour grapes guy. I'm like, whatever. But it's like I have to think about the different things I'm working on. Is that the best course of action for me? And Kill Tony isn't for me at this time. Maybe I'm famous enough one day that Tony calls me and he goes, "Hey, bro, you hilarious. Come on through, be on it, or come on through and guest host or guest judge with me." But no, Charlene, I haven't done Kill Tony, nor do I plan to do it in the foreseeable future. And I'm not even sure how signups work now with everything. But to your point, you're right. To get on it and to win, you do get interviewed by the guys, and that may be the killer app, the killer feature of doing it. And Derek Fisher, dude, I appreciate you, man. I really do. And even though it does manifest a lot in like prayer emojis and like thank you emojis, but I really feel like, man, when I was unsure about what I wanted to do, my broadcasting career. Okay, for example, AfterBuzz was going to close. AfterBuzz closed down 2 weeks ago, but I was going to leave AfterBuzz anyway. I had written down in my goal, dream journal, or whatever that SummerSlam, that pay-per-view, or the Monday after, if we didn't do a pay-per-view show, was going to be my last time at AfterBuzz. Like that, like as far as I was concerned, my imaginary contract ended that day. And I was debating how exactly that was going to be, how I was going to announce it, how was I going to tell the fans, what am I going to work on to supplement that transition out of everything. But when AfterBuzz said we're done, we're closing up shop, I was like, blessing in disguise. So right now, what's up, Flobo After Hours? We are talking about what's going on in the world. What's up, Flobo? I'm talking about my life. Jack Farmer and I have 2 shows on Thursdays. One called Wrestling with Wrestling, where it's all news, and Wrestling with Your Questions, where you answer your questions. And George Hermoso's working on something. Can't tell you what it is right now. He's working on something. Leslie Colon launched her show, or Cafe con Leslie, last week. Like, I think all of it came into head, and it really was for people like yourself and Haywood and Charlene that would like still like hit me up on Twitter and like, wait, what do you think about this? And like, hey, well, this is a cool match. Thoughts? And it's like, wait, people actually care what I think. So you either responsible or I thank you. And when I came out with the shirts and I was having a birthday and I was like, okay, it's kind of cocky to have a birthday shirt. I'm doing it anyway. Buy yours at FloboAfterHours.com. You bought one day one. So I thought it was pretty cool. And so it was a lot of thanks. And I talked about this too. If you guys are on my YouTube channel, What's Up Flobo, episode 94. It's called Buzz You Later. I go to detail on how AfterBuzz let us know that they're closing up shop. But if you really want my opinion on that, it was hard. Oh, Christine. Yeah. What's up, Christine? Thanks for coming to the chat. Appreciate it. Yeah, see, Cafe con Leslie is going to be the hottest channel, man. Like, it's so cool to see my friends do stuff and build stuff. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is going to be my hot AfterBuzz take. So if you want to know what happened of how AfterBuzz closed, What's Up Flobo episode 94. It's called Buzz You Later. Check it out. But as far as me personally, as a broadcaster, I joined AfterBuzz about 1.5 years ago because I was a comedian with no fans. I had albums, I was getting booked, but I really felt for me to grow, I needed strangers to see my stuff. I needed strangers to buy in. Dylan Matthews in the chat says, AfterBuzz is going on a summer break. Listen, man, I'm going to be completely honest with you, 100%. I'll say for every 10 hosts, 8 of us are like, it's done. One of us is like, I'm surprised it didn't close already. And one is like, maybe it might come back. And the brand may come back. But as far as the landscape of what the wrestling shows are, it's not going to be the same. Because you can't hold people for that long without paying them. You can't hold people that long for not telling them what's happening next. And you can't hold people that long with an email. You know what I'm saying? Saying, oh, by the way, summer hiatus, summer break. But I was going to quit this time last year. I was going to quit last summer. Last June, I sat down with the network and I wanted to do a show like this, a long form chatting show. Like, for example, there's 5 people in the chat right now. That's way more than I thought were going to show up to this show because I'm not doing anything wrestling related. I'm just chatting with you. But I want to do a show without AfterBuzz, and I basically buried the idea. They said it's not going to work, and we'll think about it. So that was last June, and I was gonna quit last June. But my one of my bestest friends of all time, Jack Farmer, got hired in January and got hired in July. And so I was like, well, if Jack got on in July, I can't quit now. That's a guy I brought in. So we were rolling tight for like 2 months. I got kind of bored again. I was like, all right, look, man, it's August. They're not giving me the show I want. No one really cares. I'm about to roll. And then, if you guys remember, in September, another good friend of mine, Evan T. Mack, got called up to WWE, and I was given both the Raw show and the NXT show, and I was scared, because no one's Evan Mack, and the chat at first were already upset. Fun Dad had left, and now Coco Cena had left like 6 months afterwards. So now I got both shows, Monday and Wednesday, and it was torturous, man. Like there's I love wrestling, I love it to death, but I would perform because trust me, I get compared to a SmackDown team a lot, and SmackDown really approaches their show more as a sports show, whereas I try to keep it more like a radio show. Like, oh, we're having some fun, let's tell some jokes. I'm trying to wrestle comedy here. But it was so different that at first I was like, dang, I don't know if anyone gives a crap about Flobito. Because I'm from a time where if you liked wrestling, you used to get beat up, you know? So I went on a couple months, and in the fall, got bored again, man. I was like, look, it was cool for a couple months. I want to do a show. Wrestling's great. Star Trek's great. American Gods is great. All these other Unbelievable, The Politician, they're great. But I want to do my show. I want to do After the Buzz Tonight, but for my version. Then in November in October we got like Emily May and Dave Punk Rock Christopher on the wrestling team. I was moving into more of a mentor role. I was teaching them the ropes as far as like presentation. So that kind of kept me going. Great. Man, this is dope, man. We're doing it, man. NXT's gonna have 1,000 views. The fans have come around the chat. I'm like leading the shows. I know deep down in my soul we're better than SmackDown right now. Don't tell Josh Terry if you get totally offended when I say that. But I know deep down inside Raw and NXT's better. We were having fun. We had call-in shows. We did Cena as a goat. We had it was the best thing on the planet. WrestleMania season comes. I'm like, okay. I understand that AfterBuzz was going through some financial problems even back then. I was gonna hold on because if you notice in the wintertime, Kevin finally saw me as a wrestling host. Kevin Nagar was a good guy, and so we did a lot of test shows. Like when I did the Hall of Fame wishes, when I had like the MVPs, the biggest character goat of all time. That was in the fall. Then the pandemic hit. And I was just being a soldier, like, I'm here in the studios, I'm doing it. So I said, look, man, if I'm giving 100% and I'm loving it, I'm loving it. Because from January on, I was. But when I realized there's a time for me to move on, I said, okay, I'm going to move on. And it was going to be August. It was going to be August 21st, 2020. That was going to be the day anyway. So it was totally the best thing for me. Yeah, it's funny you said that, Dylan. Because when Hobo left, that's what really broke the network. Hobo was part of the last like good part. So Hobo left. Fun Dad was there, but he really wasn't like coming in every week because he was getting more and more gigs. And the attendance was so bad, they corralled 5 of us. Quasto, Mac, TK, Jim, and myself, and said, we're putting 5 of you guys on the show. We're doing that because the attendance is so bad that if one person can't make it, if 2 people can't make it, we can still have a show. Because if you notice, towards the end of Hobo's tenure, they were canceling shows, which you don't want to do because of the relationship between WWE and AfterBuzz. But the thing is, they didn't expect all of us to eventually have chemistry, which was pretty awesome. And thank you so much, man. Like what also said that SmackDown had a different flavor. You know what I mean? You know what? I like Christian's banter, but I will say the time when I subbed on SmackDown, it was like, if you guys are listening to me on the podcast, I'll put my hands down. It was like, yo, welcome back to Monday Night Raw. Welcome back. And then go to SmackDown. It's like, oh, that was a really fun match, Christian. Tell me. It's now time for Christian's Closet. We're like 2 different networks. at once. And that's the way that the old guard was. The old guard, it was you had to know somebody to get into AfterBuzz. You had to know somebody to get in a wrestling panel. You had to know someone to be involved. And when I got to be the guy, I said, I don't care who. I will be the guy you have to know. And so a lot of new hosts you'll see came through Raw and NXT. A lot of hosts work with me first. I think Bryant Santos is the only person I know who SmackDown directly. Because SmackDown was on their own island. They were just like, we're doing our thing. We have tenure. We were doing the show for so long. We're going to be over here. But Raw on SmackDown, when I got both Raw and NXT, and I said, Jack, do you want NXT? And Jack said, no, I want to start AEW. I go, sure, dude, build it. Because I know when Jack started, he couldn't get a spot on the Raw NXT panels. He had to do the pay-per-view shows. And so he kind of like totally built his own platform. Like, I'm so proud of AEW. I'm in the chat legit going, I love this show. Because the network wasn't going to do an AEW show at all. It was Jack Farmer being like, please, can we do it? And they gave it to him. And he gets to be a leader. And he's grown so much. So I'm in the chat like, yeah, Jack, woo! You know? But it was totally a blessing to be able to be on that show. But people don't realize this, man, and I'm going to be the first one to say it. I got to break the mystique. AfterBuzz is a volunteer job. We don't get paid. I love it when hosts are like, hey, man, can you give me a job at AfterBuzz? I'm like, it's not a job. It's totally volunteer. So the weeks when you're getting like hate mail and DMs, you're like, man, this is lame, you know? But the weeks, to my point, this is a long and winding tale, Derek. But the point is, Derek Fisher, is that when you work for free at something you pour your heart into multiple times a week, to the point where you might even be told you're the guy, but you know that you're helping new hosts get on and you really built the show up for where it was, it's just so refreshing to have someone go, bro, I like what you do. It may not mean much. I mean, look, it may not mean much to you. It might just be a couple of keystrokes on a computer, but that meant the world because it does take time and money to go to AfterBuzz to work for free. That's right. I'll admit it. Work for free. Free. Hosts don't say that because they're embarrassed to say that, because for a lot of hosts, when they come out from wherever they are, they want the people to know they're getting paid and doing big ball Hollywood stuff. But AfterBuzz does not pay anyone a dime. It's not made that way. It's not set up that way. Everything we've done is volunteer. Every host at AfterBuzz is volunteer, except for like X-Pac. I think X-Pac gets paid, but he has his own show within the AfterBuzz brand. So I knew I was done, ready to go. I knew it was a fun time, Charlene. I totally love it. You know, I remember that, Christy. I know that feeling where you're into something and it's like, I want to talk about it. And that's why, even though I was the wrestling guy, I did Star Trek, I did Unbelievable, I did A Politician, I did American Gods, I did Love is Blind on Netflix to mix it up. Charlene's asking if it was worth it. Absolutely it was worth it. Absolutely it was worth it, because no one gives you an opportunity in entertainment. You have to go and take it. But you can't get anything done in this town without an agent, which AfterBuzz doesn't do, or real. And AfterBuzz does that. If you are willing to dedicate yourself to learn and to watch the tape every week, I think I'm a better broadcaster. Guys, if you guys are listening now on the iPod version, the podcast version, or if you guys streaming now, I want you to look at Raw After Show, February 4th, 2019. It was my first show. I was terrible. I was horrible. I bombed my audition. But over time, I was able to carry a conversation with just about anyone, not to be cocky. I was able to stretch things out or clip things in. I was able to discuss long-form content. I was able to teach other hosts how to be better hosts. That, to me, is the most fulfilling thing. If someone says, hey, Flobito, we're going to do a show where you get to talk to a camera for an hour. Can you do it? And I go, yeah. Look, what's up, Flobo After Hours? It's supposed to be half an hour long. We're sitting here talking about AfterBuzz. I love it, man. So they've given me so much, and there's no ill will to that, because I got the gavel from AfterBuzz. I got the Cena as a goat. I got GIFs from Dylan. Johan Pena hits me up like every so often. Like it's the fun. I will never trade out a world in my life. I see Kevin McGraw, I'll give him dap. I'll give him a hug, man. He gave me opportunity when no one in Hollywood would. But yeah, it was time to go. It was definitely time to go. And again, I appreciate everyone who just says, even in passing, hey man, I saw the show. You're great. Thanks. Appreciate it. Even the people who throw shade at me, who are like, hey, LOL, you suck, LOL. You know who you are. It's fine. That means you took the time to check out what I'm working on. And this is what I'm working on. Yeah, man, I didn't really mean to make this an AfterBuzz post-mortem because we had the send away last week, and I talked about the reason why on their end on What's Up Flobo. But if you guys want any other background information about the network, I am here, right here on What's Up Flobo After Hours. This is every Monday night Pacific time over here in my bedroom, the studio. Chilling out, just talking, rapping about the world going on around us. Let me know what you think about the show. How does it compare to other things? And you guys, my schedule is all over the place, but I'm gonna tell you, if you want to check out Wrestling Talk with me and Jack Farmer, Wrestling with Wrestling and Wrestling with Your Questions are available at the Jack Farmer channel. That's over there on YouTube. Just type in. Not answering that question, Dylan. Not answering that question at all. If you want to hear me chat about cool things I've discovered in terms of life, What's Up Flobo, classic every Wednesday and Friday mornings on YouTube. I have a podcast called New Amsterdam Radio where we sit there and talk about creatives. Tomorrow, bonus episode, it's with Jack Farmer because tomorrow is Jack Farmer's birthday. Fancy Jack is turning 65, so we have a special episode about that. Charlene wants to talk about the NBA bubble. I'll do that real quick because it's been. You know what? I'll answer all questions. I'll do Dylan's questions first about Tariff, and I'll do your question about the bubble. Josh Tariff is an amazing person. I like him a lot. We worked together in professional wrestling back in 2011. I was a in-ring announcer and interviewer, and Christian Rosenberg at the time was a commentator, so we kind of overlapped and stuff. He is a great person. I think he is one of the more better broadcasters. Like if I had it, he sounds very broadcasty. Like he sounds like Colin Cowherd, which is great for sports. But I think what he wants to do. Like for me, it's comedy, but for him, it's sports. It works. But from the outside perspective, and this is something I would tell him right to his face, it was very apparent that SmackDown was his show. He was there long enough. He was the guy for so long. He treated SmackDown as if it was his show. So he controlled the aspects creatively. He made sure the host that he wanted on the show, or the show, you got the call to sub in for someone. It was very, very rare because Christian Rosenberg is the kind of person that would rather do the show himself than to fill a panel. Me, on the other hand, because I got the shows because Evan Mack was promoted, I treated the shows as if they were institutions. As if I was Jimmy Fallon and someone said, here is a Tonight Show. So I tried to make the show my own, but I always knew in the back of my mind, if Kevin walked in and go, hey, Flobo, thanks for everything. Here's the game ball. We're going to give it to somebody else. I was willing to walk away. I didn't say I didn't care, but it was almost like I was a lot more loosey-loosey. So brand new hosts who just got out of training that wanted to be a wrestling host, I brought them on. Brand new hosts want to talk to me about what the best ways to be a host, I answered those questions. If someone wanted to do a bit on the show, like last NXT Christmas, Emily May wanted to do 'Twas the Night Before NXT, and she read the whole poem as if all the NXT stars were there. I said, cool, let's do it, So yeah, that's the way I would treat it, because I realized it was going to be me holding on to the spot and then giving it to the next generation. And I also knew Johnny Quasto from that time too. Johnny LaQuasto and I were also at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood back in the day. He was a ring interviewer, and I was an interviewer too, but I was like 4th, 5th on the depth chart, basically. So if Quasto couldn't do it, and Stu Stone couldn't do it, and Dave Marquez couldn't do it, and Jeff Resnick couldn't do it, then it would call me to be the backstage interviewer. But that means I almost never got called. But yes, Johnny LaQuasto and I were acquaintances. We're not close. Even though we worked together, we're not close. Never met Kathy Kelly. Never met Sonya Deville. Evan Mack is on the bump now. Fantastic. Yeah, dude. Dylan Matthews, dude. I'm gonna tell you how old I am. I was. He asked if I was in Championship Wrestling in Hollywood. So in 2010, I got into wrestling in a weird backwards way, and it was because rest in peace, John Ian, who was one of the biggest Southern California wrestling promoters, was hanging outside SummerSlam 2010, giving out flyers. And at the time, I wanted to be a ring announcer. That was my dream in life. So I pestered him. I hounded him for like 3 months. And he gave me the gig. And I met guys like Angelo Trinidad and Joey Chaos and Peter Avalon and Brian Cage and Sean Ricker, who was Eli Drake. All those guys. I met all those guys. Ray Rosas, Scorpio Sky. All those guys I was cool with in that way. I wasn't friends with, but I was cool with. And that was at Mach 1 Wrestling in Anaheim. But their talent got fed into Championship Wrestling from Hollywood back when they recorded in Hollywood. So I knew all those guys back then too. Hobo and stuff like that. So I'm not saying I have crazy cred. I don't walk into parties like, yo, Scorpio Sky, remember me? But like, I have the receipts to say in 2010 through 2012, I was in there. So that was kind of like my thing. Lastly, before I get out of here, Charlene wanted to talk to me about the NBA bubble. And I understand that, why they're doing it. Sport is in a weird situation. As a human being and as a individual, I understand why we should not have sport. We're getting these weird compromises. MLS is back, 60-game MLB seasons. But the NBA and other sports leagues have to keep going because they have to have these games to generate revenue, which tells you that this pandemic is not a hoax because people really got to get their money, right? So given the situation, I think it's the best course of action to have a community inside a biosphere where everyone is legit. But I can tell, we don't know the psychological damage that this whole year is going to be, especially in the bubble. I'm okay with being solo, right? I have hermit tendencies. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than a friend calls and goes, "Can I stay over?" You know what I mean? But I do it. I never felt lonely in the bubble. But I can imagine if you're like a basketball player and you got like 3 or 4 kids and you can't see a wife or husband and you can't see them, and you're just in this thing and you just gotta get up, hang with your boys at summer camp, play games that aren't in front of fans, and sit down. Like, does the adrenaline match up the same? Is it the same vibe? We don't know the damage it's going to be. Do people need counseling out there? So, like, I don't know about, like, that. But I do think, given the situation, that is apropos why we have to. Slaps Chrissy Hedden in the chat. That's why we have to do it. So I think it's okay. I think it's for the greater good. But again, we don't know how much damage it's going to cause as far as like the loneliness, the motivation, that sort of thing, which tells you that sport is important, not so much the games themselves, but the cottage economy that happens around there. Yeah. Scott Narver. Sorry, it was back to AfterBuzz. Scott Narver's before my time. Ryan Katz is before my time. Kathy Kelly's before my time. Hobo was right before my time. I knew him before AfterBuzz, so it was cool. But like, I didn't really know him as an AfterBuzz host that much. Mark Donika's before my time as well, but he still chimes in the chat as well. But I watch Premier League soccer. They're kind of in a bubble, not kind of quite. It's kind of different. They're playing with fake crowd noise. I don't mind it. I think the person who runs the crowd noise at least tries to make it dynamic. Like when they miss a ball, they go, "Oh!" When they score, they cheer. Again, it's fine. I've watched more sports now than I have in years because I have nowhere to go. Because my whole deal is that I work with live audiences, comedy clubs, DJ gigs. Those are pretty much stopped. DJ gigs are starting to trickle back in. Cross fingers that the work can happen. But that's kind of my deal. So the bubble doesn't mind me at all. But yeah, I guess to recap everything, the first half of the show, I just want to say that things are going off the rails. I don't think Goya should be endorsed by the president. Let Tim Howard alone. Shout out to Trader Joe's for stepping in and changing the products of their names and things that aren't exoticizing things. On the back half of the show, I want to say I'm an AfterBuzz host for a year and a half. They taught me the power of my voice and a microphone. I met some great people in the network, out the network, the fans, if you will, the people I'm cool with. I can't even call you fans. We're so close. We're like family in a weird way. I learned a lot about that. The bubble's fine. I'm cool with the bubble. More bubbles. Bubble Boy from Seinfeld. The Moops. 10 points if you catch that reference. Now, the next time I'm going to be on TV, and by TV I mean your digital screens, is tomorrow on Twitch, on this Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Flobo Boyce, or Twitch TV/Cocosina for the Everything Tournament. It's a giant pop culture tournament. The brackets have just been released. I've read them. I can't believe some of the things we're going after. We're going to have a big debate in the sports debate this time around. I'm excited for that. 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, Twitch TV/Cocosina. That's featuring Jack Farmer and Heidi Mack. TheEverythingTournament.com. TheEverythingTournament.com. You can see my face there, learn more about the show. It's a pop culture tournament where everything goes. Next time I'm going to be on. And then next thing after that, New Amsterdam Radio. Tomorrow is being released. Jack Farmer for his birthday. He's going to be 45 billion years old. Thursday, Jack and I tag team 2 wrestling shows. Wrestling with Wrestling. We're talking about the news that's happening all over the sport. We're talking about Extreme Rules, talking about Slammiversary, and wrestling with your questions. So if you have wrestling questions, let me know so Jack and I can get to a debate. Because last week we debated about NXT and we fought all the time. As for me, social media, at Flobo Boyce across all social media. No, Charlene, he isn't actually 45. I like to say that Jack Farmer is between the ages of... I think Jack Farmer's face is between the ages of 32 and 60. We don't really know how old he is. So last time Jack Farmer and I were arguing, we argued for days and days via text. I don't like him anymore, but it's fine. But as far as me, social media, at Flobo Boyce across all social media. He's older than that, Charlene. Or Flobito on Instagram. Flobito.com is our website. Brand new content every Wednesday. And during these times, please support the homie 2 different ways. Buy a t-shirt or a mug over at Flobito.threadless.com. New Amsterdam Radio merchandise will be there soon in August. And I have a Patreon. Bonus content, more interviews, more fun stuff over at patreon.com/FloboBoyce. So please support the homie. This is What's Up Flobo After Hours, where apparently I come in with like 2 topics and I go off the rails because I did not expect people to be in the chat. I am like ecstatic because I'm like, why would anyone see me talk about random stuff? But you guys are warming my heart. Until next time, man, of course, you know the deal. Be yourself. Peace out. Be good to your family. Wear a mask. Please wear a mask. And peace out.
The bed is in the land.